This picture, a lonely life raft drifting on the open ocean, hiding a secret that's darker than a moonless night. Arthur Duperreau, a Wisconsin eye doctor who's basically the 1960s version of a Pinterest dad. He's got a lovely wife, John, and 3 kids. Brian, 14, Terry Jo, 11, and Renee, 7. Their family of 5 led a simple life, but Arthur harbored a special dream to take his wife and children to the Florida Keys and the Bahamas to experience the beauty of the ocean and marvel at the vibrant coral reefs. As a World War II veteran who had served in these waters, Arthur longed to return to create joyful memories with his family. After years of saving, Arthur and Jean finally had enough money to make this dream a reality. They meticulously planned the trip, renting a sailboat named Bluebelle to explore the stunning waters of the Florida Keys, with plans to continue to the Bahamas. Since no one in the family knew how to sail, they hired a captain named Julian Harvey. Julian agreed to lead the trip and brought along his new wife, Mary Dean Smith. In total, 7 people were aboard Bluebelle: Arthur, Gian, their 3 children, Julian and Mary. The journey began on November 8, 1961, filled with the anticipation of an unforgettable family vacation. The first few days at sea were filled with joy. The Duperreau family soaked in the warm sunshine, crystal clear waters, and precious moments together. Terry Jo was captivated by the ocean, often sitting with her father as he recounted his days as a Navy sailor navigating these same waters. Bluebelle glided smoothly through the Florida Keys, and everyone believed this would be a perfect trip, a memory to cherish for generations. But on November 13th, an unexpected event shattered the tranquility. A large oil tanker cruising through nearby waters spotted a lifeboat drifting in the open ocean. A man aboard the lifeboat was frantically signaling for help, his face etched with panic. The tanker crew quickly pulled him aboard. The man was Julian Harvey, the captain of Bluebelle. When asked what had happened, Julian told a harrowing tale. He claimed a massive wave had struck, snapping Bluebelle's mast. The falling mast knocked over a fuel canister, sparking a fire that engulfed the boat. His wife, Mary, and the entire Duperreau family, Arthur, John, Brian, Terry Jo, and Renee, had perished in the disaster. The tanker crew, stunned by the tragedy, brought Julian safely to shore, and news of the horrific accident began to spread. 3 days later, on November 16th, a surprising development unfolded. A Greek cargo ship commanded by Captain Theo was sailing through nearby waters when the crew noticed an object floating on the surface. Upon closer inspection, they realized it was a life raft, barely a meter wide, made of fragile cork and tattered in places. Clinging to the raft was a small girl, her skin sunburned, exhausted but alive. Captain Theo ordered the engines stopped, and the crew fashioned a makeshift raft to rescue her. After a few days of recovery in a hospital, the girl revealed she was Terry Jo Duperreau, the daughter of Arthur Duperreau. Authorities, including the U.S. Coast Guard, promptly met with Terry Jo to uncover the truth. Speaking in a frail but resolute voice, she recounted what happened on Bluebelle the night of November 12th, and her story was entirely different from Julian's. There was no giant wave, no broken mast, no fire. This is the horrifying truth Terry Jo witnessed. That night, Bluebelle was sailing smoothly, with no signs of a storm or danger. Terry Jo, tired from a day of play, went to bed early in a cabin below deck. In the middle of the night, she was awakened by strange noises, screams, heavy thuds. Terrified, she crept to the deck and faced a scene she would never forget. Her father, mother, brother Brian, and sister Renee were dead, their bodies scattered across the deck, blood pooling around them. In the midst of this horror stood Julian Harvey, holding a weapon, his eyes cold. Terry Jo froze, but her instincts kicked in. She slipped back to the cabin, crouching in the shadows, desperate to avoid Julian's notice. Unaware that Terry Jo had seen everything, Julian proceeded to destroy the boat. Using a hammer, he smashed holes into the hull, allowing seawater to flood in. Bluebelle began to sink rapidly. Meanwhile, Terry Jo, trembling in the cabin, found a small life raft. As she clung to the raft and drifted away from the sinking boat, a rope caught, pulling her underwater for a moment. The icy seawater stung her eyes and filled her nose, but the raft bobbed back to the surface. She huddled low on the meter-wide cork raft, trying to stay out of Julian's sight in the darkness. Julian jumped into a lifeboat and fled, leaving Terry Jo adrift in the vast ocean. For the next 4 days, she fought to survive. With no food or water, her throat burned, and her mouth grew drier with each passing hour. Yet strangely, she felt neither hunger nor thirst. Perhaps the grief of losing her family overwhelmed her senses. The first morning, the sun scorched her skin, leaving it raw and painful. On the second day, she heard the drone of an airplane overhead. Terry waved frantically, hoping to be seen, but the plane passed by, oblivious to the helpless girl below. Despair crept in, but she refused to give up. Later that day, Terry noticed she wasn't alone. From about 30 yards away, shapes approached her. At first, she feared sharks, but then realized they were dolphins. They swam around her for hours, as if keeping watch, before vanishing into the sea. That night, miles from her cozy home in Green Bay, Terry dreamed of her father. In the dream, he spoke to her, his voice warm and reassuring, as it had been during their storytelling sessions by the fireplace. The dream gave her strength to keep going. By the third day, the heat intensified. She wondered if anyone would find her. With half-closed eyes, she glimpsed hands waving in the distance. Her rescuers were Captain Theo and the crew of the Greek cargo ship. Theo had spotted her tiny figure from afar, a speck in the ocean. They crafted a makeshift raft to pull her aboard, saving her life at the last moment. Terry Jo's testimony after her recovery stunned authorities. She described Julian murdering her family, destroying the boat, and abandoning her. Her account directly contradicted Julian's, prompting immediate suspicion. However, before further questioning could occur, Julian was found dead in a hotel, having taken his own life, leaving the case with unresolved questions. The police and Coast Guard expanded their investigation, uncovering chilling details about Julian Harvey. He wasn't just a captain, he had been a skilled jet pilot in the Air Force, but his career was marred by suspicious accidents. Some flights he piloted had crashed under questionable circumstances, and while no solid evidence pinned him, investigators suspected he might have orchestrated them for profit. His personal life was even darker. Julian had married over 5 times before Mary Dean Smith, and several of his previous wives had died in mysterious circumstances. Car accidents, fires, or unexplained incidents that often left Julian with financial gains. Crucially, police discovered Julian had purchased a life insurance policy for Mary, stipulating that if she died in an accident, he would receive double the payout. Further investigation revealed that before Bluebelle, Julian was involved in 2 other boating accidents where he was the sole survivor and claimed insurance money. Investigators suspected Julian planned to kill Mary on Bluebelle and stage an accident to collect the insurance money. The Duperol family may have inadvertently witnessed his act. Perhaps one of them saw him attack Mary, forcing Julian to kill Arthur, Jean, Brian, and Renee to silence them. Julian likely spared Terry Jo, assuming an 11-year-old girl couldn't survive the sinking of Bluebelle. He was gravely mistaken. With extraordinary courage and resilience, Terry Jo clung to the meter-wide tattered life raft, drifting for 4 days in the open ocean, and survived to reveal the truth. Thanks to her, the Bluebelle tragedy was exposed, though Julian escaped justice by ending his own life. This story is a heartbreaking tragedy, but also a testament to resilience. The small, battered life raft, barely a meter wide, became a symbol of Terry Jo Duperreau's miraculous survival as she overcame darkness to tell her story.